Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
Sean sent me notes, and Steve, check out this story. I'm sure it's been sent to you by everyone. And if not, what's wrong with them? Sean, you're the only person who sent it. And Sean sent me a couple different versions of the same story so I could double check and cross check the facts. And thank you very much for doing that. As to why no one else sent me the story, I'm not sure. From WESH, United States Postal worker arrested for drinking on the job. And it gets a little worse because that's while driving a mail truck. So Megan Moriarty wrote this version for WESH. Out of Florida, a U.S. Postal Service employee has been arrested and charged with driving under the influence. She was placed in handcuffs after being pulled over in her mail truck during her delivery route. Now, this happened a couple months ago, but what happened most recently, I think it sparked this, being in the news when it is the fact that the body-worn camera footage became available because WESH Channel 2 has obtained that video footage of the arrest. On the camera, you can hear the officer saying, "I'm out here with her at University in Babcock. She's going to jail today. She's getting arrested today. She is drunk." So I guess there's some narration going along with the video. The woman being arrested is 33 years old and is currently charged with driving under the influence following the traffic stop. Now, this is the kind of thing that might impact your job a little bit, just a little bit. I got friends who work for the Postal Service. I'll have to ask them. But police said that the woman was allegedly swerving in and out of lanes before being stopped. Police also said a witness saw her throwing Solo cups out the window of her mail truck. And at one point, someone said she was on the wrong side of the road. So apparently sometimes crossing the center line, throwing out Solo cups. Note the word cups is plural, meaning that she may have had more than one and pitched it out the window. There's several things wrong with that, of course, not the least of which is even if there was no alcohol involved, you don't throw things out the window of your truck regardless of what was in the cup and regardless of what type of vehicle you're driving. After pulling her over, the police conducted a field sobriety test. Now, in case you're curious, the woman said she was delivering mail when she was invited to a party. Hey, you want a party? So she took a 10-minute break. And they put it in quotes here, meaning that she said, took my 10-minute break there. So apparently allowed to take a break for 10 minutes and says that she took her 10-minute break by attending a party. And she told officers she had 2 shots of vodka, but that she doesn't usually drink. Now, this next sentence is the kicker, as we like to say. She also said she was experiencing emotional and health issues related to a pregnancy. Now, it doesn't say whose pregnancy, but if it's her pregnancy and she's drinking the alcohol, that might raise an eyebrow or two. And, of course, while driving is another problem altogether. But some parts of this story don't make a lot of sense. One of which is if she had 2 shots at the party, then what was she drinking and throwing out the window that had been in Solo cups? Don't know. That's a curious question. Likewise, in one of the reports, it said that she was alleged to have been on the wrong side of the road. Now, again, weaving down the road, if you cross the center line, you are, in fact, on the wrong side of the road. That could be it. But apparently, she also said that she may have fallen asleep. Now, here's the thing. I know some mail workers. I know people who work in the Postal Service. And they tend to work during the day. And this traffic stop happened during the day. I understand some people can get tired during the day. But generally speaking, most of the postal workers I've seen have been pretty wide awake. So if she had fallen asleep while driving along shortly after taking her 10-minute break to be at a party, somehow that doesn't quite ring true to me, but that could just be me. You are free to disagree with me on that if you like. Also, when asked about the Solo cups, she said something about maybe she was drinking water. Now, here's the question. First of all, does that mean she admits she chucked the cups out the window? And really, notwithstanding anything else I've said, you work for the Postal Service and you're driving in a truck that's obviously a postal truck, and you're driving down the road throwing bright red things out the window that are litter, that are trash. Is that something you should be doing? I mean seriously, drunk driving is bad. Littering while driving a U.S. postal vehicle is also bad. Perhaps not as bad as drunk driving, but it's bad. Seriously. I mean, so there appears to be a very serious lack of judgment in here, for those of you who need me to state the obvious. But the various news agencies did contact the U.S. Postal Service and ask them for comment, and they apparently did not comment. But I suspect that there are some other issues that arise. So you pull over a postal vehicle, and you get the driver out. Sobriety tests failed. Handcuffs go on, and that person goes to jail. Now, if you've watched as many police arrest videos as I have on YouTube, you know that quite often someone gets pulled over by the police. There's something about how they're behaving or acting or something that inclines the police to believe they might have had some alcohol recently put into their system. They take some field sobriety tests and they do poorly. And then next thing you know, they're doing a PBT and they're off the charts. And generally speaking, in a prototypical traffic stop such as that, the person is then handcuffed, put in the backseat of a car, and taken to a police station for processing. Oftentimes, they'll do another test at the station. It's more accurate than the PBT, possibly a blood draw, and all kinds of other stuff, maybe fingerprints and mug shots, that kind of thing. But, of course, there's a vehicle then at the side of the road with no driver, quite often. If there's someone in the car who can drive who is sober, they'll often let that person drive if the driver of the car or the owner of the car agrees to let that happen. But there is now a mail truck by the side of the road with U.S. mail in it, which, as you might guess, falls under a slightly different jurisdiction than just the pickup truck by the side of the road that somebody else is driving. So I'm assuming they got to make some phone calls, probably talk to the local postmaster and say, hey, you got one of your trucks over here, and it's currently unmanned because the person who was behind the wheel is now being taken away in handcuffs because of suspected drunk driving. And I suppose they'd probably have to make some kind of special arrangements to, one, go get the truck, and two, possibly finish out the route, I would guess. Or I don't know, maybe take it back and try again tomorrow. But that can't be good. That cannot be good. And so I have a lot of people in the audience who drive vehicles for a living. And I recently drove to Atlanta and back. In fact, you might guess that's where I got the shirt because, in fact, I did. Along that drive, much of it on I-75, managed to see quite a few truckers doing their jobs. And I'm watching these truck drivers, and they're in the same traffic I am. And I'm thinking to myself, if I get this frustrated in my vehicle, how rough must it be for a professional truck driver to be putting up with this nonsense? And I'm talking about just people on the road, some of whom clearly don't know how to drive. But what I'm getting at here is person driving a mail truck, professional driver. And you'd think someone who drives a vehicle for a living, who gets out of the vehicle to attend a party for 10 minutes, would know better than to be drinking alcohol at that party, especially if there's shots. And then I know that she says there was water in the Solo cups, but it does make you wonder. But you got to wonder about, again, the judgment being used by somebody who's on the job and they do this. So it's a wild story in that sense. But I don't wish bad things on anybody. But when I see somebody exercising questionable judgment, because even if you assume that she is completely telling the truth about everything, she admitted to having a couple shots at the party, alcohol shots. That's not good. But even you take that out of the equation, something's causing her to drive down the road, weaving around, once in a while on the wrong side. And she says, well, I was tired. I might have fallen asleep. Okay, that's not good either. And then to say, but also experiencing emotional and health issues related to a pregnancy. Well, if you're experiencing emotional and health issues related to a pregnancy and you're weaving down the road, possibly asleep, even with no alcohol in the story, there's a problem there. But you throw the alcohol in and then the mystery solo cups, and you got a whole vortex of craziness going on. So, yeah, it happened in Florida, but it could have happened anywhere. It could have. So there you go. But Sean, thanks for sending it. No one else sent it, but I I only laugh because every time I see a story that I go, oh, everyone's going to send that to me, I get one copy. And then another one, I'll go, that one's not that interesting. And then I get flooded with it. I go, oh, maybe I should take a second look at that. Maybe. But again, the story from the WESH is the version I told you about. Megan Moriarty wrote that. The New York Post, I got some facts from also. Brevard County USPS worker arrested for drinking on the job and allegedly driving her vehicle in that condition while worried about the emotional health issues related to a pregnancy. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. A true friend is someone who thinks you are a good egg, even though he knows that you're slightly cracked.